What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Bros world. I'm Timbo Slice. I'm here with Sage. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing wonderful. Nice, bright, sunny day. It might actually be spring in Colorado.
Well, luckily it's been spring here for a while now. A little late today. Had some technical difficulties, to say the least. We actually tried to get started around 10:30, and it took us about 45 minutes. So we're here though, and thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button so you can get all of our shows every week. Go to sportsbrosworld.com, and of course follow us on Twitter at sportsbrosworld, and like us on Facebook, facebook.com/sportsbrosworld. A lot to get to today, and we're kind of crunched for time, so let's get moving here. I'm going to kick it over to Sage for the news and the notes for the last week and a little bracket talk.
Yeah, not a whole lot of news going on besides the NCAA tournament. Of course, baseball's starting up pretty soon here, so everybody's doing their drafts, last-minute changes, all that good stuff. Anthony Rendon is the big news there. Won't be ready for opening day. Probably a couple weeks out. Might even start on the disabled list. I guess we'll see what's coming there. Of course, there's a lot of guys like that, so just keep your eye out. Make sure you're not starting anybody that's hurt the first week of the year. After that, really, bracketology. I am very proudly still repping 7 of my Elite 8 teams. Wichita State lost last night. Little local feel there. All the KU fans, I'm sure, happy about that after their loss. So, anyway, regardless, who do you got that could beat Kentucky is the big question.
Oh man, nobody would be my first guess. They're just too long, and too good at defending. And I mean, Notre Dame can catch fire. If Notre Dame catches fire, they can give them a hell of a shot. But I mean, that's asking an awful lot. On my bracket, I actually hit all 4 of the Elite 8 from yesterday. Kentucky, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, and Zona. Zona really squeaked it out, man. I thought Arizona was the second best team in the country. I still do. I think they just had some issues with that 1-3-1 zone last night, and I still have Duke, Gonzaga, and Michigan State in my Elite 8 on the other side. So, yeah, surprisingly, I'm looking pretty good after going 20-12 in the first round, which is like death. But I only lost a couple of key teams, so I'm able to hang in there.
Everybody in the first, round there was really sweating. There were some big upsets and some unexpected upsets, so that really hurt a lot of people. I went from I filled my bracket out on ESPN, and I went from being ranked like 4,000th after the first round to now I'm in the hundreds. So I think I was 94th last time, so I still have, I have Kentucky, I had WSU, Wisconsin, Arizona, Duke, Gonzaga, Michigan State, and Louisville. So I was looking pretty good. Kind of was hoping Wichita State would win, but, what can you do? It's a bracket. It's not going to be perfect. So.
Yeah, I'm actually in I don't want to throw myself under the bus here, but an illegal gambling pool. And the results are online, and after the first round I was 20-12 and was in second to last out of 25 people.
Wow.
After the next round I climbed a little bit, and then after yesterday I climbed quite a bit. Now I'm in, I think, 12th out of 25, and I have the second most remaining points. But gambling is illegal. Just ask Jared Cozart.
Yeah. Well, we found a way around this in our pre-talk. So This is all you got to do if you want illegal gambling, even if you're a professional athlete. Just draft the team you want to bet on in a fantasy league, air quotes, as you can see from the live feed, and then just play head-to-head versus the other fantasy team, and go from there. So my fantasy Toronto Blue Jays team I'm betting $200 on today to beat the fantasy New York Yankee team or whatever, you know.
It would
Anyway,
be a pretty strange scenario that would have to play out for you to win the fantasy and lose the game. If you drafted all 9 starters
that
for
would be
each team,
incredible.
it would
That
be
would
incredible.
absolutely be incredible. But anyway,
Maybe someday we can do the math on that and figure it out.
I guarantee there's a way it could happen, but it'd be really weird. Anyway,
Lots of triples and runners stranded, I guess. I don't know.
It'd have to be, yeah.
Okay,
So
let's
the
get
news and
to.
notes. Yeah, let's move along.
All right, it's baseball time. We've got less than 2 weeks. Actually, got a week and 2 days till the first relevant Major League Baseball game. So, that being said, we have our Super Mega Ultimate Baseball Prediction Show. Not much of a fantasy show today. We'll just we're gonna go through each team, each division, and how we think it's gonna list at the end of the year. Then we'll go through the playoffs, and then Sage and I have came up for you, and this is, I guess, will be probably partly fantasy relevant. 5 bold predictions. I have 5, and Sage, did you get yours?
Yeah, I got all 5 here, so.
All right, that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll finish the show with that. So,
Definitely.
we'll try to move through this pretty quickly. American League. Let's start out west. I think that's going to be the toughest division in MLB this year. I got the Angels winning it. The Mariners not far behind. I have the Astros finishing in 3rd, and then the Rangers and I think the A's bring up the rear. What do you got, Sage?
Wow, I never expected us to be exactly on in that division, but yeah,
wow.
you pretty much preached it for me there. Yeah, I have the Angels slightly winning, Seattle grabbing the wild card out of there, and I think Houston's going to be better than the Rangers, and I just, by process of elimination, the A's finish last, you know.
That was exactly my thought process when I was writing them down. I'm like, okay, I like the Rangers. I just think the Astros are going to have a good year. And
yeah.
Honestly, I still don't know what to think about the A's because they basically turned over half their roster. So,
yeah, and, you know,
by default.
How much faith are you putting in somebody like a Scott Kazmir? You know, I mean, is he really going to be a guy that is going to be a solid number 3 or whatever they have him at? You know, I know Sonny Gray is great, you know, but they have a lot of holes to fill, and I think the other teams fill them a lot better, personally.
That's kind of funny sounding, but all right, let's move on to the AL Central. Big shocker. I have the Indians winning that division with the Tigers in 2nd, Royals in 3rd, and the White Sox in 4th, and the Twinkies bringing up the rear in that one. What do you got? I'm sure that's different.
Pretty similar, but yeah, I have Detroit slightly winning over Cleveland. I think Detroit has way too much offense, and they got some decent pitching. I like Cleveland. I'm kind of rooting for them to win the division. I just think Detroit's got a little bit of an edge on them. I have Kansas City 3rd, White Sox 4th, and Minnesota 5th too. So
great minds think alike. Moving on to the AL East. I guarantee you we have some differences here.
Oh, probably.
I have the Orioles repeating as AL East champs. I have the Red Sox as the 2nd wild card in 2nd. I have the Blue Jays, Yankees, and Rays at the bottom.
First off, I think the Yankees and Rays are going to be horrible. So let's just throw that out there.
Yeah.
I think
you
Boston.
Yeah,
I have Tampa finishing 5th, but
okay.
I have Boston winning. I do think in that division they have just as much offense as anybody, and I think they have really just as much pitching as anybody. So I have them winning. Toronto falling slightly short. I have Baltimore in 3rd.
Okay.
I think those 3 teams are going to be packed most of the way. They're going to be tight throughout the whole year. New York's going to slightly fall off after the trade deadline. Tampa's going to be in the basement all year, I think.
I hope so. I don't see how those Pacoda projection things Got them at like 86 wins. That's just ridiculous. But
That is ridiculous, I think.
I don't see it. And plus, your boy Alex Cobb, or is it Cobb? Yeah, Cobb
Yeah.
is probably going to start the year on the DL.
Yeah.
I read that the other day.
He
So,
was going to be the opening day starter, and then now it's Chris
Right.
Archer, they said.
Yeah,
So,
Archer by default.
yeah, I think, Cobb, drafted him in our fantasy league. I still like him, and I think he's going to get a decent amount of starts. But don't draft him high or anything. I mean, the guy is kind of a hit or miss type guy. He's a little more consistent than some, but it's not a trustworthy starter.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Playoffs. I got the Angels as the overall number one, taking on the winner of the wild card game, which would be Mariners versus Red Sox, and I'm taking Felix all day, every day, and I'll have an Angels Mariners division championship series. Indians will beat the Orioles, in my opinion, and then the Angels will beat the Indians in the ALCS to advance to the World Series.
All right.
Go.
I got my overall number one, just by default, because I think they're in the easiest division, is the Red Sox.
Of course, and has nothing to do with you being a Red Sox fan at all, I'm sure.
It really doesn't. I really think. I mean, we both said that at the top, the Angels and Mariners are going to be tight, and we both said
Right.
at the top, Detroit and Cleveland are going to be tight. So
Right.
by default, I had Boston being the overall number one. In saying that, I have Seattle and Cleveland playing in the wild card. Seattle winning that. I'm taking Felix, just like you. And I actually have Seattle beating Boston,
Ooh.
advancing to the ALCS. Then
Nice.
on the other side, I got the Angels and Tigers. I personally, I looked at this and just thought, Detroit has a little better pitching when it comes playoff time. That's what I look for. Then it's going to be Detroit, Seattle in the ALCS, and I got Seattle winning.
Wow. A couple of American League West teams in the World Series.
Yeah.
Book it. All right, man. I'll let you take the National League and give us your thoughts on that. Start in whatever division you want, man.
Well, we'll start with the West. Just like before, I got the Dodgers not really running away with that division, but I think by the end they're going to be, clearly clinching before anybody else in that division. I got San Francisco, San Diego, Colorado, and Arizona.
Wow, the Giants coming back. And then I'm sorry, I was in shock that you had the Giants over the Padres. Did you take the D-backs fourth or the Rockies fourth?
Rockies fourth, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll get to why later.
Oh, okay.
Hashtag teaser.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I bet we'll be seeing them in the playoffs, won't we?
No. They're not going that far. But,
Okay.
but I have them finishing ahead of Arizona. That's not a whole lot to write home about. But
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I go Dodgers winning the division pretty handily. I have the Padres competing for a wild card spot and finishing second ahead of the Giants. And then I have the D-backs in fourth, and I have the Rockies as the worst team in baseball, maybe slightly ahead of the Phillies. I might have the Phillies down there, but I think the Rockies pitching is terrible, and it's going to just play out like it does every year. So that's what I got.
touche. All right, we'll move on to the Central. This is another tight division. And I'll just start with my default. I think Cincinnati's going to finish fifth.
Yeah.
Big disclaimer there. Everybody's shocked about that. Anyway, so I actually have Pittsburgh winning this very tight division.
Ooh.
I think they have the best all-around team in the division, personally. Then I got the Cardinals. Cannot count them out ever, really. Finishing second. Chicago is going to slightly finish ahead of Milwaukee for third and fourth, and then the Reds bringing up the rear.
All right, man. I am flip-flopped all over the place on that. I have I have Big Brother St. Louis winning the division for the 19,000th straight year. Um, but hey, the Shockers beat the Jayhawks in the tournament, so hey, maybe the Pirates can overtake the Cardinals. I don't know. I have the Pirates finishing a close second once again. I have the Brew Crew finishing in third ahead of the Cubbies. I agree, that is going to be tight. They're going to be right there. And
Yeah.
then Cincinnati is the worst team in the division.
Yeah. Well, and here's my two little notes here. I like Chicago's pitching better than I like Milwaukee's pitching, personally. And I think that's what kind of put Chicago over the top there with me. I think at the top of the division, though, Andrew McCutchen turned over a new leaf this week.
Oh,
He
yeah?
cut the hair.
Oh,
cut the
that's
hair.
just
You haven't
that's a
seen it.
disaster.
And I think that may have been the curse of Pittsburgh right there. And he donated it to charity, which is a great thing. Locks of love.
Naturally. Locks of love.
So anyway, I think that's
Well,
good karma for him, and I think it's good karma for his team, and that's why I have Pittsburgh. Well, that and there's actual baseball reasons, but
yeah, their offense is absolutely loaded. I have the Brewers over the Cubs, and it's spoiler alert. You might be hearing something about this later in the podcast. So carry on, sir.
all right. So we head out east. This may have been the easiest division for me to put down. Clear number 1, clear number 4 and 5.
All
So
right.
the only debate was really 2 and 3. I have the Nationals running away with that division and locking down the first seed by a long shot in the NL. And then after that, I have the Mets.
Meet the Mets.
Yeah, I like the Mets. I like their offense. Their pitching's pretty decent. They moved in the fences, and no one talked about it except for me. So
David Wright's probably been talking about it quite a bit.
yeah, David Wright and Lucas Duda are going to benefit from that a lot. Um, and then I have Miami. I think they're up and coming team. I don't quite think it's their year yet, so I have them finishing third. Atlanta has tried to piece together a decent team, and they still have some decent players, finishing fourth. And the Phillies are finishing last and probably last in all of baseball. So, what you got?
I agree. I think the Phillies are going to be dead last, probably for a couple of years.
Yeah.
The Braves are actually looking decent as far as turning the franchise around and getting better. So I think they're an up-and-coming team. I just think that there's too many. You can only have so many teams with winning records. So the Braves are, at the end of the day, going to have a terrible record. But I think maybe next year, the year after, they should be pretty good. I also have the Marlins in third. Going backwards here, kind of agree with you there. I don't know, these new teams that they put together. They seem to be pretty hit or miss. So I'll take the
Yeah.
Mets and that pitching staff all day at number 2, and of course the Nats running away with pretty much everything in the National League. That's
The
it.
one thing I'll say about this is I looked at the projections, a few different projections online, and wins, totals, all that good stuff. I also saw the Washington Nationals pitching staff predictions, and these are pretty interesting. There's some projections that have 5 starters winning 13 or more games on their staff. That is unbelievable if you think about it.
Not really.
That's crazy. When was the last
mean-
time that happened? I mean, come on. 13
I don't
wins
know.
for
The
everyone
Orioles
on
had
the
4
staff?
20-game winners in the 70s.
Well, in the 70s, yeah.
Oh, what? What's different
That's
from
my
the
good
70s?
point. It's been a long time ago.
I thought you said never.
No, I'm just saying it's like so crazy to think that. I mean, in today's baseball, I mean, when was
Well-
the last staff to have 3 guys win 13 or more games? I'm sure there's somebody like last year, but then you add like 4, and then to add even a 5th guy with 13 plus wins, that's nuts.
Well, but if you look at the Nat Nat Geo. Stupid. Gio Gonzalez and Doug Fister, the 4 and 5, whichever order you want to put them, they're going to be pitching against guys you've never heard of on a weekly basis, like all year. And
True.
Doug Fister and Gio Gonzalez are good pitchers, so
Yeah.
they might have more wins than Zimmerman and Scherzer.
Yeah, I think Scherzer and Strasburg are going to light it up, but Zimmerman too. That 1, 2, 3. I mean, wow, that's pretty good pitching staff.
It's pretty solid.
So okay, playoffs. My overall number one is the Nationals. So the Nationals going to be taking on the wild card winner, which I have St. Louis as the first wild card and the Mets as the second wild card. And I will take Adam Wainwright over whoever the Mets throw out there, probably Harvey. But I like Wainwright and St. Louis. They're a gritty team that always gets it done. And then they go to play Washington. I have Washington winning handily 3-1 in that divisional series. Then on the other side, I got the Dodgers and Pirates. I have the Pirates actually taking this one in a very close series.
Ooh, upset city.
Mainly because Clayton Kershaw is a whole different pitcher in the playoffs. Just saying. But
he has been, yes. He has been.
So I got Pittsburgh and Washington in the NLCS, and Washington winning 4-2 there. So Washington, Seattle is my World Series pick. Who do you got in the National League before I say who's going to win?
Washington and Seattle. Huh? Well, I have the Dodgers as the number one overall. I think there's too many wins out west. I think the Giants aren't going to be as good as the Marlins. Padres, I don't think are going to be as good as the Mets. So I think that leaves a couple more wins in the win column for the Dodgers over the Nats. I got Dodgers 1, Nats 2, Cardinals at 3. I have the wild card 1 as the Pirates, wild card 2 as the Mets. And I don't care who the Mets throw out there. It's going to be better than Francisco Liriano. So I'll take the Mets to go play the Dodgers. Dodgers advancing to the NLCS. Nats beating the Cards. And in what is chalk for me, I'm taking the Dodgers and Angels in a whatever they would call an LA World Series.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they'd call that. Highway something. So
I-5 series or
I-5 series,
whatever
yeah.
it is or something. I don't know.
Well,
and so who's your?
got?
I got the Dodgers beating the Angels.
I have the Nats beating Seattle 4-2. And
Ooh, I didn't pick a number of games, but I'm assuming 5 or 6.
Here's the ironic thing about mine: the Nats and the the Mariners. Nats and Mariners have never been to a World Series, and I'm picking them both to go in the series. So, whatever. Take your flyer out there.
And you're picking a wild card team. I'm taking both my number ones. So you know I'm going to be wrong, unless of course my regular season has nothing like I think it's going to be.
Well, this is my whole thing, taking Seattle over Boston. I think Boston's got a much easier division to go through, and so they're going to be ranked higher. I think Seattle, when it comes down to it, you got Felix and Iwakuma, just them two. If they both get 2 starts in a series, that's going to be hard to beat. I really like that. And so I just don't think that the Red Sox pitching is going to hold up to that. So that's why I took Seattle.
Yeah, I think once the Mariners finally make the playoffs, I think Felix is going to take that Madison Bumgarner role and literally pitch as many innings as possible. I just don't think it's going to be enough for them to make it very far. And then what I was going to do a little bit ago, Kershaw to me is kind of like Peyton Manning. So good in the regular season, but he just keeps getting beat on weird stuff in the playoffs. So eventually he's going to get his Super Bowl, and I'll probably pick him just about every year. So eventually he's going to get one. Eventually I'm going to get it right.
Well, I'm picking the I got the Pirates to basically have a pick six return for a touchdown against Kershaw. So
Basically, yeah. And it's a fumble. All right, we got about 10 minutes left, so let's get to the bold predictions. Let's try to drag this out for the whole 10 minutes. We'll go one at a time. I'll go first, and then we'll talk about that for a second, and then you go.
Well, we kind of went all over the place here, so I only have one that involves a team's performance. So
I as well have just one.
Okay, so we'll start with that. That works.
Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah. Go for it.
I have the Houston Astros over 500. Not just third place, but over 500. That's 82 or more wins. I think the rotation with McHugh and Feldman and Keuchel. And then Altuve finally has some help, and I think they can put it all together.
That's not a bad. I don't disagree with that really at all. I think I had them kind of hovering around that, but I could see them finishing with 83 plus. My bold prediction is the Washington Nationals are going to win 100 plus games. I don't know how bold that is, but 100 plus games.
Well, it's bold in the fact that no one did it last year.
Yeah.
And the Tigers had a similar. They put together a similar situation by the trade deadline, and they didn't really get any better. So it'll be interesting to see if everybody gels like that. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be the Nats or, in my opinion, the Dodgers. So.
Dodgers, yeah, that's us. Yeah. All right, so.
But on a scale of 1 to 10 for boldness, I'm going to give it about a 6.
Okay, well, I started off soft. What do you want?
Well, hopefully we get better here. Let's keep going here.
I don't think yours was that bold either, by the way.
Vegas has them at 76 wins. That's 6 wins better. That's a landslide.
I will take that all day. I will take that all day in Vegas.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Okay, players. I have some interesting ones. I guess I'll go first. Chris Davis with a K out homers Chris Davis with a C.
That's a little bit of a bold one there. I like that. Yeah, I could see that happening. I mean, I think one's definitely on the downward slide, one's on the upward, so it's definitely a possibility. I think the Brew Crews lineup is pretty decent too. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't think it's that bold then?
I think it's a little. I'd probably on the 1 to 10 scale, it's a 7. I'll say a 7.
I think it sounds a lot bolder than what it will end up being, because if you look at the numbers, like you said, Chris Davis with a C's on the decline. Chris Davis with a K. He hit 22 homers in 501 at bats last year. Yeah. So if he can get a full season, you might be looking at 30 plus, getting a little older. So.
Yeah. Well, my bold prediction, I'm going to go with Michael Morris, who is going to be batting cleanup for Miami, most likely. So what am I about to say? Correct you on the pronunciation. If anybody should be correcting on pronunciation, it's not me, but Michael Morse. Morse, not Morris. Sorry.
Think Morse code over Zach Morris.
All right. Well, Morse code is going to have 75 plus RBIs. That's my bold prediction for him. He has
cleanup hitter on a team that's going to win probably 80 to 85 games.
75 plus RBIs. I think he's batting 4th or 5th, depending upon how they put together that lineup. But he's never come really that close to that, to be honest with you. You look at his career stats. I don't have them in front of me, but I think his career high was 72.
Really?
So, yeah, I see him having a pretty decent year there. I like the lineup in front of him. He's going to be their everyday first baseman, so I like that.
I don't think that's that bold.
Well, okay.
I mean,
Sorry.
if he stay, all he has to do is stay healthy all year, and he might drive in 100.
Well, I hope he does. I drafted him too. So.
But I'm just saying, 75 is like, well, like just a low number for a cleanup hitter on a good team.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be batting cleanup. He might be batting fifth. But anyway, regardless, he's never done that in his career, and I think he's got a possibility to hit that this year.
All right. It's your prediction. Your bold prediction.
Not enough.
All right. My next one is Nelson Cruz under 30 home runs. Coming off a 40 home run season, I think he's under 30 homers. What do you think about that?
Under. Well, judging by what happened to Robinson Cano's numbers, I don't think it's too far of a stretch, but yeah, I would hope if you drafted him as your outfielder in fantasy, you're hoping for 30, and I think most people are expecting 30. So, yeah, I could see it happening, though. I could see him hitting in the mid-20s, but...
Well, I factored in his injury history, too. So
yeah.
But since he's DHing, maybe he can stay healthy all year, but, it's rare that he puts together a full season. So.
And just one correction, I just looked it up. Morris Code did have 95 RBIs one year, but every other year of his career he has had 72 or lower. But and he's kind of declined lately, so I think he's going to pick it back up in a good lineup. But
I think we should bump your number up a little bit. What do you think about that?
I could bump my number up. I'll go with
85. 85? Yeah. All right. Now that's a bold prediction.
I'm getting a little more bold there. Yeah, I agree.
You moved from like a 2 to like a 7 right there.
Okay,
good stuff.
Well, there we go. All right.
So I think you're up next, I believe.
Okay, so my next one is, this is a little bit of a team thing, kind of. It's the middle of a lineup. Toronto's 3, 4, 5 hitters, Encarnacion, Joey Bats, and Josh Donaldson, are going to combine for over 100 home runs this year.
I was really hoping you weren't going to say like 90. I probably would have laughed at you. 100's a big number in today's baseball world.
Yeah, that's averaging 33 a player, so...
That's everybody staying healthy, so that's a big number. I like that. That's pretty bold.
Yeah, I figure Toronto and the launching pad... thank you, by the way, YouTube subscriber that liked my launching pad reference for Toronto. Yeah, the launching pad is definitely that in Toronto, and I don't think there's a whole lot of great pitching in the AL East. So I think
really not.
There's going to be some bombs from them.
Yep, I agree. But no, that's pretty bold. 100 is a huge number in 2015. My next one, and you're gonna love it. A-Rod plays in 145 games.
Well, you know me, I've been preaching this since day one here, but yeah, I don't see how they can deny him at least the DH spot. I mean, I completely agree with you on that one. I don't think it's that bold, but if you look at any sort of projections, it is bold. So, yeah I agree with you there.
Yeah. I wrestled between 145 and 150, but I figured 145 is one day off a week. So
yeah,
and if he's DH, and he should be able to stay healthy all year.
And the one thing about it, the other guys that would potentially DH on that team are Mark Teixeira. Who else? I'm drawing some blanks here.
Brian McCann, Carlos Beltran.
Carlos Beltran. Okay, Teixeira and Beltran, I know, have said they do not like to DH. They want to play every day. So I don't know about McCann, and being a catcher, I'm sure he's going to need some breaks here and there. But yeah, I could see A-Rod being like, "Hey, I just want at bats. Give me at bats."
Yeah, you guys play the damn field. I don't care. I'm A-Rod.
Yeah. I'll finish with 800 home runs with all my at bats. So.
Right.
All right, so I don't know which one to finish with here, which one's bolder. I'll just pick here. I think Max Scherzer will win 20 plus games and strike out 270 plus.
Ooh, 270 is a big number.
I I like it. I like him going to the National League, not having to face a DH. He's facing a pitcher instead. He is a really good pitcher in the prime of his career on a good team that is definitely going to have his back bat wise. So I see it happening.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys, and we hear it every year around this time. If you pay attention to baseball, the veterans are at this point with just over a week to go, itching to get to the regular season.
Oh
And
yeah.
Scherzer is just on fire right now. I'm sure nobody in baseball wants to get to the regular season faster than Scherzer. So him and maybe Chris Bryant, but anyways, that's another story. No, but I like that. I think 20 wins is not. It's not a layup by any stretch, just because of the era we live in with bullpens. But I would say 19 to 20. I like the strikeouts. That's a very high number. So I would say most projections would have him between 240 and 250. 270 is big. I like it. He gets 20 pitchers. That's all
Yeah.
he needs. 250 and then 20 pitchers.
There you go.
I like it. All right, my last one is from a previous spoiler alert. Ryan Braun is top 5 in MVP voting at the end of the year.
Well, I do disagree with this one. I think he's going to be a decent player. I think the reins have kind of been passed. I think Carlos Gomez is the guy on that team. And that may be good for Braun flying under the radar a little bit, but I don't know, man. That is a bold one. I will say that. Yeah.
Hey, his thumb has battered him the last 2 seasons. Plus,
And
he's
he
getting
has
used to
battered-
not having steroids.
He
So
has battered other people in the batter's box. So
he has. Very, very unprofessional of him to do so.
all
But
right,
no,
I
with
got
the thumb's 100%. He's very used to not taking steroids at this point,
I
or
would
he's
hope.
taking them again. One or the other. I like both.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I like him as a player. I liked him a lot more before he got caught, but yeah, I mean, not only numbers wise, but just as a person, but yeah, I don't know if I see that. Votes are one of those things, though. It definitely could happen, just because of it is what it is. But I will say with him, I don't think it's going to happen because I think the voters put an asterisk by his name for the most part. So,
Eh,
all right,
tough to
here's
deny a 300 average, 30 home runs, and 120 RBIs.
not when you have a needle in your arm.
All right.
All right, here's my
Fair
bold
point.
one. And here's we've kind of alluded to this, and you kind of semi-talked me into this guy a little bit.
Uh-oh.
All right, you ready for this? Troy Tulowitzki is not only going to stay healthy, he's going to hit 35 plus homers and 110 RBIs.
I'm going to make sure I write this one down. 35, 110.
Both career highs, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. Huh. Well, all he's got to do is stay healthy, and I don't think it's a problem.
Hey, I love the thin air up here, and so does he. So that's all I got to say. That ball's going to be flying off the bat. He's got protection this year. If he just stays healthy, I mean, he's had protection, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't had necessarily a lot of guys that could hit in front of him, and I think he does. And he also has protection. All he's got to do is not get hurt, which is a big thing for him, obviously.
An act of God for him. Man.
But I will say, and we talked about this a little before the show, the athletic trainer and a lot of the coaches on the Rocky staff, and they may
Right.
be blowing smoke, but
Probably.
they say he's the healthiest he's been in the 5 years that regime has been together. So
I'm
We'll
the
see.
healthiest I've been in like 5 years because I'm having fruit smoothies for breakfast every day, and I haven't played a baseball game in 13 years. So, hey, let's go. Let's do this, Tulo. Let's have a good year. On that note, we will close out the show. Thanks for joining us. Like I said, go to our website, check us out, follow us on Twitter, and before you exit out of here, just click the subscribe button for our YouTube channel so you can get all our most recent stuff. Sage, got anything to add before we get out of here?
Think that's it. Some nice bold predictions, and we'll be looking forward to baseball starting here soon. We're both getting itchy for it.
Yeah, one more podcast before the season starts. That'll be next Friday, hopefully at 11 o'clock if technology works on our side. And we'll go through 11 a.m. Central. We'll go through our me and Sage's Big 6704 League Fantasy Baseball Draft and do any last prepping for any last minute drafts. All right, we'll see you next week.